Chris Minns, the New South Wales Premier, he's going to take this draft policy to National Cabinet in the new year, basically to cap how often the Opera House sales would be lit up. He wants it down to 44 nights a year. Now, under the Berejiklian government last year, the sales were apparently lit up 1 in every 5 nights. Remember, Jason, that he wouldn't light up the Opera House for the coronation of King Charles because apparently it would cost too much money. But it was okay to do it for the Matildas when they hadn't even won the bloody World Cup. What are we doing? Oh, we can't light the Opera House up. How hard is it to buy a projector and set it up?
They half lit it for Israel because they were kind of into lighting it and they thought, oh, hang on, some people aren't real happy about this, we'll half light it. So it was a bit of a fizzer in the end. You've nailed it. This is his justification for his appalling judgment when he chose not to signify that we got a new monarch. And so he's been, ever since that, been looking for some kind of justification for it. And now the justification in classic government form is bureaucratification.
Yes.
They have found a way to kind of create these rules. And was it 44 days a year unless an arts minister? Do you know who the arts minister in New South Wales is?
I couldn't tell.
That was a trick question because I don't know. And the whole thing about it is that this is done for what purpose and for what end? I reckon we went for so long never lighting up the Opera House, just having it for what it was, just a beautiful building. And then it became this fashionable thing to do, and now everyone has a go at it. And we had, at some stage, Volandes wanting to project, horse draws onto the side of it.
The Everest
it's not a billboard. It's whether you like it or not. It's a World Heritage Site. It happens to be one of the most prominent buildings in the world. Can we respect it as such? Just respect it as that. The old girl doesn't deserve this yet.
Well, I mean, Minns was saying, Gary, it was going to cost something like $100,000 to project onto the... I mean, I have a long list of government contracts that I want at the moment, and I reckon that's got to be right up the top. $100,000 to get a projector out for the Opera House. Ooh, boy.
Well, I'll do it for $95,000. I mean, seriously.
You're not undercutting me, are you, Gary?
We should put together... Well, this is how the free market works. It's a radical concept. But look, let's form an interdepartmental committee. Let's get the people in the East River, New York involved because it's World Heritage. We need to understand what the UN's view of this is. There must be a protocol about this. We've got red tape, blue tape. Blue tape's United Nations tape. Remember the black tape and the green tape? It's completely strangling everybody. If Gina Reinhardt has to have 4,950 applications to open up a fantastic iron ore mine in the fantastic iron ore state of Western Australia, we need the United Nations view on what should happen to the Opera House. And you've heard it first here on this program.
I'll tell you some tape I could get around, Gary. That's some tape over the mouth of politicians. Might actually, help us get some things done. And now, leaked documents, getting a bit more serious here, leaked documents this week exposed deadly delays in call taking for ambulances in Victoria. You had a whistleblower saying that there were times where only 4 people were taking 000 calls, for heaven's sake. But now we've heard from a man in Brisbane who almost bled out after the ambulance call taker wouldn't give them an ETA, hung up on them, called back after 20 minutes asking if they wanted to cancel the ambulance. Eventually his wife, Jason, had to trundle him into a car to take him off to hospital. I mean, every day we see stuff that comes out of the health system or the energy system that just makes you think, are we living in a third world country? Like, with all this tax money swimming around, how can we not have more than 4 people taking 000 calls or an ambulance to come and get a dude who's bleeding out?
Response times in Queensland are appalling versus the national average. The number of ambulances per 1,000 people, appalling per national average. I'm not going to pretend to be an expert on Queensland. I just looked up the numbers. And the numbers, when you compare all the states, I look at it and I'm thankful I live in New South Wales with a remarkable ambulance service, and Victoria's got an all right one, and Queensland deserves one. And here's the problem, and Gary will speak better to it than I will, but, New South Wales and Queensland, the population, and New South Wales and Victoria, the population is largely in 2 or 3 major centres.
Yeah.
In Queensland, it's all over the state. So you've got extra challenges there, and you've got a bureaucracy and a political class that kind of thinks it only matters where there's marginal seats. And there's your problem. And when I look at those numbers for Queensland, that tells you that it's an accident waiting to happen. And that man is the dividend of that kind of accident. What happened to him is appalling.
No wonder Palaszczuk went, Gary.
Yeah. Well, look, there's a dozen reasons why she went. I've been saying for a year she'd be going. I must see Richo, see his take on it. But look, the simple and sad reality is that the political class just simply moved up the list. So the Deputy Premier became the Premier and others moved up the ranks. So the same crowd are still there. And the current Premier was the Health Minister in the last 9 years. He was one of the people that set up this whole system for failure. And he's now the Premier of the state. And we had a bloke at a major hospital, a reporter in a major hospital, where there's up to 60 hours of waiting in the emergency department to finally get things settled. This is not a go at the doctors or the paramedics. I've had dealings with the paramedics because of family circumstances, and I've had 14 hours. They ring up and say, yeah, we'll be there, but can we wait till tomorrow? Is this life-threatening? Can this ambulance come tomorrow? 14 hours of waiting. So we need more, but if they were clipboard carriers or iPad carriers, we would have battalions of them. The Premier comes from the union for the clipboard carriers and the public servants.
Yeah, of course.
And so he wants as many of them as possible because that's his political support base. We need more paramedics. We need them to be paid more. We need more doctors. We need them to be paid more. Coppers, fireys, the whole lot. But, public servants, plenty of them, all because that's what the Premier wants.
So many better ways we could be spending this money.